What's up, wrestling fans? It's your dudes talking wrestling. I'm Dev.
It's Spooky.
And we are back with another special episode for you guys. Spook, what's been up lately?
Not a whole lot. I mean, just hanging out, kicking it.
Can't complain since we last saw.
Nope. Checked out Combat 1. Checked out IWR.
Good shows?
Great shows.
Okay, yeah, I can't really complain. Every time I go to those shows, I have a lot of fun. The crowd's into it, and you never know who you might just see.
Right. Want to talk about our guest here, who we have on today?
Today we have a very special guest. He's been a DT Dub fan from the beginning. Super happy to have him here in-house with us today. I think he's a man that really needs no introduction, but I'm excited to hear about how he became a wrestling fan,
Sure.
What intrigued him, and especially what era did he fall in love with.
So what era are we talking about today?
Today, Ruthless Aggression. Wrestling fans, today in-house we have Jeff Copey, owner of Monroe Nutrition. We are Monroe. Jeff, cheers. And welcome to the pod.
This is like, this podcast from episode 1 has been like the biggest one I want to be on. So I'm so excited right now.
I remember coming to the shop, you said, hey, what's up with dudes talking wrestling?
Right.
And that's what it is. We're just here to talk wrestling. I'm going to jump right into it. How and when and who made you fall in love with wrestling?
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, wrestling bridged the gap from, that was like the one thing my father and I connected on. So he actually lived in Illinois, when I was young, every time I seen him, we'd always watch wrestling. So that's what really got me into wrestling, and that was like the one thing we could really connect on. And no matter what, because, phones weren't big when we were kids, so no matter what, I knew he was somewhere watching it too. So
it's like, even though you're watching on your TV and you're like, I'm going to ask Dad what he thought about this when I see him.
Absolutely.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What year did you start watching?
I've actually been watching since a baby. I've been watching wrestling, but the earliest that I recall being consistent on every episode, watching all the Raws, all the SmackDowns, was about 04, 05.
Okay, fair. Obviously, like I said in the beginning, that's the Ruthless Aggression era.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when I'm going to call the push for Cena was just starting out.
Yeah. WrestleMania 21 was really the pop of all that.
What stood out for you at WrestleMania 21?
I watched the build up to that, and for me, what stood out was I watched the whole Evolution fall apart, and exactly. And so I know we didn't have the money to rent WrestleMania 21, but the next day on Raw, I was like so excited to see who won, all this stuff.
I was the same way. We're not.
Yeah.
We're not. No, $30 to get this pay-per-view. You'll find out what happens tomorrow on Raw.
Yeah, literally. So, and then I seen Batista won, and like from that point on, Batista was like my guy. Also, Cena beating JBL, that was big, and also watching Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero go at it. That was a big one, and that, I think that really put Rey Mysterio over right there.
I agree. Going back to the earlier days of Cena, it didn't matter if he was doing a rap battle with the Big Show.
Yeah.
It didn't matter if he was defeating the Dead Man.
Yep.
They were letting us wrestling fans know this is our guy.
Oh yeah. And I think I think the best draft ever was in 2005. That's the best draft ever that they did. In my opinion. But Cena was the first one, and he was on the Jericho reel. I think it was Jericho's talk show that he did, highlight reel is what it was. And Cena came out as the first pick on Raw, and it just, the whole crowd popped. And I think right there was kind of like the stamp, like, this is our guy. This is who's going to take us in through this era.
Because you have to remember back then, at least once again in my opinion, they cared about the WWE universe.
Yeah.
What the fans wanted, they got. And I think, I'm not going to say the wrestlers went off script a few times, but when you're working.
Yeah, work the crowd.
What's working.
Yeah.
And if they say something, what? You're going to feed into it, and I'll second that. That was, they put the stamp on.
Yeah.
We support you. That's our guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's talk about, in the Ruthless Aggression era, what were some divas that caught your eye?
Oh man, I mean, obviously, Trish Stratus, I thought she was like a beast.
Could do no wrong in my eyes.
Right. And then you had, Tori Wilson and Stacy Keibler, who were like, those are like, and Melina, those are like the hot divas, But then, Lita she was a perfect heel diva. Right in that, we had Beth Phoenix debut, and she took out Trish Stratus, and she was just that's Edge's wife.
Right.
So, I'd say those are kind of
some staples.
Some staples for sure.
Okay, I'm gonna jump over tag teams because obviously during that era you had the TLC matches.
Yeah.
Are you a tables, ladders, or chairs guy?
I always like the ladders because I love seeing like some high flying stuff happen. But a good TLC match either way, it didn't matter.
You can't really go wrong.
Yeah.
You know it's going to be fun. But if you had to pick, so would you pick the Hardy Boys out of, like, your favorite tag team of all time, I guess? So we'll run with that.
Okay. I love the Brothers of Destruction, and I love the Kane and Big Show era. I was really big on, like, them guys that were just bigger than life, like, them freaks. Like, I loved watching that. But I mean, the Hardys, you definitely can't go wrong with them. I as far as a straight up tag team, I'd probably have to go Hardys. Yeah, them are the Dudleys. Yeah.
Dudleyville is great. The Hardys are great, but we all know the Hardys are, if not the best tag team of all time, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely.
Going forward, I want to jump off the Ruthless Aggression era because I know Spooky would talk about that when I tag him in. You sponsored a few local IWR shows. Mm-hmm. What was your first thoughts going to IWR?
I was excited because I always watch wrestling on TV, but I had been to one wrestling show, and that was like probably 6 to 7 months before the first, it was like 3 months before the first IWR.
Okay. And
Rhino actually came into the shop and like invited me out and everything. It was like, yeah, come on out. We'll put some tickets aside. And, it meant a lot to me because I had an autograph when I was in 3rd grade by Rhino. And so it was just really cool to see that and just be a part of that. And I was just locked in.
Especially to come into your establishment, like maybe someone's working, like you just hear,
Yeah, 100%.
Excuse me?
Right, 100%.
Hi, Man Beast. I'll get your order right. No gore.
Right, no gore. Yeah, and the first thing I wanted to do was send a picture to my dad. I was just like, check this out. Like, it was just awesome. So
almost like a full circle moment.
Oh, for sure.
That brings a smile to my face.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to tag Spooky in. I appreciate as others may have said of other wrestling podcasts, they call this a reel. We're just real with our time. So with that being said, I'm not going to waste any more of yours. I appreciate you coming on the show. You are officially a dude talking wrestling.
Let's go.
And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tag Spooky in.
All right, thanks, Dev. So now that Dev tagged me in, Jeff, let's give the people a little refresher on the Ruthless Aggression era because I even had to give myself one, like Goldberg versus The Rock.
Oh man,
I completely forgot that happened.
That was No Mercy 03, I think it was.
Okay.
I believe it was No Mercy, but don't quote me on that. And that was a good one. That whole card was amazing.
Right. The build up to that match was really good too. The way that, The Rock came out, and at that time it's like Hollywood Rock.
Yeah.
So he was kind of the heel at this point.
Yep.
And with WCW, kind of not necessarily being freshly signed over to WWE, but it's been about a year, 2 years now. I kind of want to just touch base again on Evolution because that was really a milestone for the company at that time too, to have a stable like that.
Yeah.
With Triple H, with Ric Flair, Randy Orton, of course, being the youngest champion.
Yep.
And they all went out to do their own careers too.
Right. Everybody got pushed to the moon, really. Batista became the world champion, held that for years to come.
Right.
Ric Flair, 16-time. Triple H, I mean, he's just done so much for the company.
Absolutely.
If somebody put them on their Mount Rushmore for WWE, I wouldn't be mad. He's done a lot for the company. And then Randy Orton, I mean, that guy's just, he's really, truly, in my eyes, definitely one of the top 10 wrestlers of all time. He can cut a promo. He can do things by himself. He's very entertaining to watch.
I'd have to say next to The Undertaker on loyalty too, like 20 plus years being in WWE, he's never transitioned over to Impact or the other companies.
Right.
AEW. He's still a WWE to this day.
100%. And there's been no, other than some injuries or a little bit of time off, like there's been no, large breaks with Orton. He's been very faithful to the company. And was he second or third generation?
I want to say he's third generation.
Yeah.
Might be second, but I want to say he's third. But
yeah. And another thing that also happened in the Ruthless Aggression era, Stone Cold was guest referee with Brock Lesnar and Goldberg. After that match, Stone Cold disappeared and Brock Lesnar disappeared, and Goldberg was gone not too long after that. So that was a pretty big match that I think ended in Stone Cold's stunner in both of them.
Okay. So, and even with Stone Cold and the likes of like Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, the guys that we know growing up, they're transitioning over and making room for the new guys. Yeah. Yup. Like Batista, Eddie Guerrero, Edge even, like Edge really hit his mark during the Ruthless Aggression era.
Well, they wanted to be the one, they wanted Edge to be the one that put Undertaker, lose a streak,
Okay.
And, Edge just said, absolutely not. Yeah. I couldn't do it. It's not time, And, I have another opinion on that about I don't think Brock Lesnar should have been the one to do it. But,
there is speculation that it was kind of an accident as well, too, that Undertaker was a little concussed at the time that they made the pinfall.
So I watched an interview, and actually what happened was that did happen, but I watched an interview and they changed it the day of. Vince came into the locker room and Taker knew something was up, and he was like, "We're gonna let Brock go over tonight."
And diehard Undertaker fan, I was upset that Undertaker lost again
to Roman
Reigns. I'm like, dude, he already lost.
Yeah.
So like the streak's over with. Now you're making him lose again. Like
I think Roman should have.
With that.
Yeah, I think Roman definitely should have. Been the one that would have put Roman over. I don't think Brock really needed it, but
he didn't need it because he was already in the UFC. Already was a beast.
But then again, it is what it is. At the end of the day,
No, it is what it is. I mean, so even like Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio, these superstars too. That's what I wanted to ask you. So SmackDown and Raw.
Yeah.
What were you, Raw or SmackDown?
I didn't miss either one. SmackDown, I always loved SmackDown because it was on a Friday night, so I could catch the whole thing. You had usually either a Batista and Rey Mysterio, tag team match ending the night, or you had an Undertaker versus a Randy Orton, or Undertaker versus Mark Henry, or Great Khali. That was one of the craziest debuts to me. A lot of people don't like the Great Khali, but how he came in and just dismantled the Undertaker, tore the ring post, turned the turnbuckle off, all that.
His debut was definitely
it was crazy.
Shocker. Yeah, it was definitely one of the best ones of the big guys too. Because even when Big Show debuted, he threw Stone Cold through a little cage. It was St. Valentine's Massacre, him versus Vince.
Yep.
He didn't really make an impact. It was just like, he came through the ring. Like, how'd you guys get him under there anyway?
Right.
That was the bigger struggle.
Right. That's a big dude coming through the ring. Like, why are you putting him under there?
I mean, so that's kind of, but he's Paul White at that time. He's not even a Big Show. So it's like, all right, fell flat to me.
Yeah.
But the Great Khali coming in the way he did, really, you don't see anything like that. You haven't seen something like that since like maybe Giant Gonzalez or even Big Daddy V when he made that transition.
Big Daddy V,
to Big Daddy V. He was a powerhouse too, but I think that they misused him as well.
I think so too. I think a lot of those big guys, they put them over and then they almost make them a comedy scene, and it's unfortunate that they do that.
Yeah.
But think about how many times with Big Show it's been done, and to me he's arguably the best big guy of all time. If you put Taker in there, of course we'll say Taker.
Yeah, but Big Show, or if you're talking about like them type of guy, the Giants, if you would, that's the Big Show is it right there.
Oh, absolutely. So, but when in 2005 Survivor Series, when Raw and SmackDown went at it, I wanted SmackDown to win.
Okay.
But then again, like I said, Batista was my guy, so
I was a Raw guy.
Okay, and Raw was great. I
think SmackDown really did carry the Ruthless Aggression era over because it did have John Cena, debuting against Angle.
Yep.
And it had the cruiserweight division. It had the likes of Eddie Guerrero. And then after he passed, Rey Mysterio, Chavo Guerrero was still wrestling at this point.
Yeah, you had some good tag teams in there too, like Eminem. You had a couple of like the random ones that they debuted, and you had like your Finley, Mark Henry,
Right.
Matt Hardy was even doing his singles at the time.
Version 1.0.
Yeah.
But now that I think about it, I'm like eating my words because I'm like, SmackDown was probably the better show to watch.
I definitely
Raw
don't think
like,
it was
they had the superstars, and that was really where Edge was taken off. You had Evolution on Raw, so that was cool.
Yep.
Shawn Michaels was on Raw until he, went away. But yeah, I mean, SmackDown was probably the better show in the Ruthless Aggression era.
Yeah, I liked it because you couldn't predict a whole lot of what was going to happen.
Right.
And that draft that, like I said, that draft that they had in 05 was huge. It really shook things up.
I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. Man, anything could happen,
Yeah, absolutely. But also, here's what was so powerful about Ruthless Aggression and Attitude Era, but we didn't have phones that told us what was going to happen and leaked everything that was happening. It was really, truly a surprise, and it was magical, right? And now it's like I called the Royal Rumble. I called I can call every match just about what's going to happen, almost to a T. But back then it was, you never knew. You never knew there was surprise entrances. There was, them guys that used to come into matches that were just to get beat up and put other guys over, but now you don't. We kind of know.
They took away that mystery.
Exactly.
They took away the mystery for sure. I mean, that's something that because I remember specifically even, I think Devin and I even talked about this on a past podcast, but Kane revealing his, taking off the mask.
Yeah.
First of all, I was shook because I watched that, live, and I was like, dude, I'm scared to go to bed.
Yeah.
Right now. And then it's like, I can't wait to tell these guys the next day at school about this. Like, who's seen this? Cause
right.
I don't know. That was just something to me like that happened in wrestling. I couldn't wait to go to school the next day to talk about it.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't have that anymore. You don't have that element of surprise because it was more than likely leaked before you could even share it.
Exactly. And nowadays it would have been, told before it was even happening. Like, oh, Kane's taking off his mask.
Right. And it's like, all right, well, this is gonna be whack if it really does happen. You know
right.
what I mean? So
and what was cool too is at that time, I was still a kid and I was in elementary school and all that, so I had all the action figures. I used to play with those things all day long, and I just had totes of them, and I would make my own show with them. So it was a fun time.
We all did. I still do. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I still do.
I still do. So.
If I had something from you, I might play with them. I'm not gonna lie.
No, they're in the package, but So how does it transition today for you? I mean, do you still actively watch, or are you kind of still involved with Raw and SmackDown, AEW? Like, what's it like for you today?
So I've never made the transition of watching AEW. I'm real big on WWE. I did like Impact for a time, but or it was TNA then. But really, I for the last 10 years. I've watched, on YouTube, they put the highlights of Raw, highlights of all that. So I always watch the highlights. I always stay up. I love what they're doing with the Bloodline. It kind of seems like they might be breaking them up soon. But, I stay in the new World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah.
That's, I love that. And it seems like, now with Triple H kind of running things and, they just got bought out, whatever. But it seems like they're trying to get back a little bit to that Ruthless Aggression.
I think so too. Showing a little bit more blood, showing a little bit more almost element of surprise is kind of coming back too.
Yeah.
Like, I would have never thought Trish Stratus and Lita would have been, right neck and neck with the women's title again. WrestleMania and stuff like that. So I think that little bit of element of surprise is coming back, and with or without the internet, because you have someone that was rooted. He was in the New Generation era. He was in the Attitude Era, Ruthless Aggression era. This guy's lived it. Who better to tell the story than someone that's actually a wrestler? Right. Absolutely. I think Triple H is doing a great job with the company and with the storytelling and things of that nature. So
Triple H, He is. He's given a lot back to the company. I mean, he's really sacrificed his life for that company.
Yeah.
And, not on no weird stuff. But, he's really given it all up for that company,
he definitely has. I mean, and obviously marry into the family.
Oh,
you're taking on a big role with that already, So it's like, put me in the chair and let me try to see what I can do here as creative,
Right.
He's kept my interest, with Gunther and with the Bloodline, too, of course. I am a Brock Lesnar fan. I know he's about out the door right now.
Yeah,
he's got maybe another year, 2 years left. He might be on a Legends contract soon. But
right.
I've always liked Brock Lesnar, so
yeah,
it's like, that's holding a little bit together for me.
Yeah, he's always been one of them heels that even when he left the first time, he's always been one of them guys that he's just a freak of nature and just strong as can be.
Yeah,
and
I like his theme music too. You hear that it's never changed since he debuted. So it's like that's changed. Yeah, so
something's going down when he comes out too.
Definitely. So again, we'd like to thank you for coming on the show. You guys be sure to subscribe. We're on YouTube and Spotify. Click that bell for notifications. Stay up to date with all the latest wrestling news from DTW. And at the end of the day, we're just a couple dudes talking wrestling.